The Successful Servant Leader podcast is all about the pioneer woman on her unique journey of becoming and being who God has called her to be. The divine connection between the wealth mindset and success in every area of our lives can no longer be denied. Successful Servant Leader teaches us how to increase our confidence and strategically and effectively serve while in the pursuit of success in our lives, our faith, and our businesses. I'm your host, Victoria Grace, and welcome to the show. Hello, family. Hello. Welcome to this episode of the Successful Servant Leader podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in and being a part of this movement. I'm so glad that you're here. Go ahead and give yourself a huge pat on the back for intentionally choosing to be a part of this conversation that will surely help all of us level up spiritually, personally, and professionally. Now, of course, if you are new here, what's up? Welcome. Go ahead and make sure that you hit that subscribe button on whatever app you're listening on. You'll get a fresh episode on either the wealthy place, healthy behavior change, and current topics related to the modern day servant leader and the modern day pioneer woman every single week. Of course, I want to say happy new week. I pray that your last week was off the chain. And if it wasn't, let's do what we can together to make sure that this week is. Today's biblical truth is based off of 2 Corinthians chapter 1, verses 3 through 4. And it says, "Blessed be the God and Father of our Lord Jesus Christ, the Father of mercies and God of all comfort, who comforts us in all our tribulation, that we may be able to comfort those who are in any trouble with the comfort with which we ourselves are comforted by God." So our biblical truth today is, God comforts me in all tribulations, trials, and anything that the world may try to throw at me. I am covered, I am comforted by my Father, my Abba. Stand firmly on today's biblical truth. Believe that you have the power and the authority through Christ to mentally and physically align yourself with God's truth regularly and consistently, and not just on occasion. You guys already know that our biblical truths come straight from our amazing community, Dare to Pursue. It is free to join, and when you join, you get access to our amazing new audio class, Master Your Mind, Expose Your Enemy to Level Up Your Thinking. That's available to you for free at the link in the show notes. So as promised you guys, this week's episode will be a continuation of last week's episode, which was Hello December. If you haven't listened to it yet, pause this right here and head on over to Hello December. It is the very last episode right before this one. So as you can see, the topic or the title of this episode is Shtayim Esre. And this is Hebrew in its feminine form for the word 12. Now, I really wanted to go into these numbers or the concept of numbers in November, but I wasn't able to do that. And so I definitely want to do that here in December for you guys. So last week I shared that there were 3 to 4 points that I wanted to share with you guys, and we only got through the first point. So today I will be getting through the second 2 points that I have for you guys, and I'm very excited about it. I'll share a link below with my reference to where I'm getting the information on the number 12 and what God is showing me and telling me for the next 26 days. At this point, there are 26 days left of 2022, and then we'll be making that transition into 2023. And so because we want to really discuss this meaning of the word 12 and what God is really expecting you to do from this point out, this is episode 77 of this podcast. So at this point, we are transitioning into the act of doing. We will continue to learn. We will continue to talk and discuss, but we've done that for the last 75 or so episodes. And so God is now like, I need my people to do. I need my people to do. But before I get into that, I really want to clarify some things that I said in last week's episode really quickly here. I believe I said that we should be ignorant to Satan's devices, I literally meant we should not be ignorant to Satan's devices. We should not be ignorant to Satan's devices when it comes to the media, when it comes to our minds, which is why that audio class is so important. Master your mind. If you don't master your mind, you will most definitely be ignorant to Satan's devices, to Satan's schemes, to his tricks, to his plans. You will be ignorant to those things and you will fall victim. And if you're listening to this podcast, that should not be you. Number 2, I don't know if I touched on this or not. I don't think I did, which is why I want to make sure that I clarify it right now for you. Race is a made-up concept. It was created to create division, point blank and period. And so when I was explaining a little bit about race and about, understanding, or as a Black woman asking, who's my tribe? What's going on? That's really what I meant. As I stated in the Bible, God always divvied people up or divided people according to tribes. So you had the tribe of Judah, you had the tribe of Gad, you had the tribe of Dan, you had the tribe of, all 12 tribes of Israel, right? That's how he divided people. You had the Assyrians, you had the Armenians, you had all these different people. And so when I was talking about that, I really was wondering, well, God, who's my tribe? Because again, Black it's a race, which was something that is made up. We were never supposed to be described by the color of our skin. We were supposed to be described by our tribes. So that is what I meant with that, just to clear that up really quickly. And again, please do not allow the media to control your emotions. It is a reason that I spoke on the media in the last episode. It is a reason that the media took one retweet and turned it into this huge thing. You got to understand that everything that the enemy does, there is a reason and a rhyme to it. And just have your eyes and ears open. Do not fall victim to Satan's devices. Do not be ignorant to his devices. Okay. So that kind of closed out part 1 of this particular talk. Before we talk about 12, let's briefly talk about 11, which in Hebrew, in its feminine form, is Esre. And it says here, when in the same reference link that I'll provide for you below, it says 11 is a tricky number and the one in which she receives the most questions about. People have a tendency to notice the clock when it is 11:11 and wonder what that means. If one feels plagued by seeing the number 11, she suggests to carefully read Deuteronomy chapter 1. From Mount Sinai to the Promised Land was an 11-day journey. But due to Israel's rebellion, they were in the wilderness for a total of 40 years. This message was reiterated to them on the 11th month, Shavat, in the 40th year. Hence, the full redemption and entry into the land is connected to the number 11, but also what prevents it. So 11 requires one to discern between the spirit of anti-Messiah and the Messiah, remaining in rebellion or submitting to the King of Kings. If you want to read more about that, again, I will provide the link in the show notes, but I want to stop there. Number 11. The Israelites, once they were brought out of Egypt by Moses, right? God parted the Red Sea for them. He put all of the plagues on Pharaoh and all the things. It was only supposed to be an 11-day journey by foot to the Promised Land. But because of their rebellion, because of their complaining, because of their disobedience, they even at one point worshiped a golden calf and made a golden calf. Because of this journey turned into a 40-year journey. A 40-year journey. So I want to bring this to you. How long are you delaying your promise? How are you hindering your promise? How are you stopping your promise because of your disobedience, because of your unwillingness to do what God has told you to do and to be obedient, right? How are you hindering your promise while in pursuit, right? Because this whole thing that we're doing here, this thing called life, it is a pursuit. It is a mission. And inside of the inner circle, we had one of our last trainings, and it was titled Visualize the Mission, Visualize the Brand. And we came to the understanding of the fact that we are all a brand. We've been branded by God. And because we've been branded by God, we are expected to uphold a certain standard. We are expected to do certain things, right? We are expected to be in the world, but not of the world. And that's just to kind of sum all of that up. But because we've been branded, we understand that life is a mission. It is a journey. And when we decide to dare to pursue, we understand spiritually that there will be spiritual checkpoints. There will be tests. There will be markers that we'll have to pass to go to the next level. And that is the same thing that the Israelites had to go through, and they failed, which is why their 11-day journey turned into a 40-year journey. Okay, a whole generation had to die off before they were even allowed to step into the promised land because of their lack of faith, because of their disobedience, because of their tongues, right? Remember, life and death is in the power of the tongue, because of their distrust of God, because of all of these things, which sums up rebellion. This is what happened to them. And so I really want to bring this to you, that this number 11, the 11th month that we just finished out, it required and will continue to require us to discern between the spirit of anti-Messiah and the Messiah. The spirit of anti-Messiah was running rampant within the Israelites, which is why God said that whole generation has to die before you go into the promised land, because you can't take that spirit of anti-Messiah into the promised land. You can't take that spirit of anti-God into the next level. Right? The wilderness, after they left Egypt, that was a checkpoint, and they were supposed to defeat that monster and trust in God that he was going to get them where they needed to go, but they did not. They failed. So they all had to die off before he could even allow the people to get to the promised land. And so I really want to bring this to your attention, because I don't want this to be you. I don't want this to be me. I don't want this to be anybody connected to this community. Okay? So this number 11, and going forward, the number 11 represents this, and it is reminding us that we have to make the choice to discern between whether or not we're going to remain in rebellion or we're going to submit to the King of Kings. So that's God. Which choice are you going to make? So from that point, then we can go on to the number 12. Shtayim Esre means perfect government, order, organization, united, perfect subdivisions of time and of people. This demonstrates a holy people serving a holy God based on the Creator's clock and calendar. In our last episode, what did I have you guys say? We operate in the correct times and seasons, just like the sons of Issachar. I just add them on there because they are the most prevalent example of operating in their correct times and seasons, specifically because God said that they had that anointing over them to operate in their correct times and seasons. A little bit more about what this blog post is saying, and it says, at age 12, Yeshua, or Jesus, first appears in public and engages with the teachers in Jerusalem. You can find that in Luke 2:42. That is when he literally goes to the temple, and I think he's missing for 3 days. So that was like a sign to Mary that things are about to begin. And then in Luke chapter 8, a woman that had the issue of blood, she had that issue for 12 years, and then she touches Jesus's tassel, or the hems of his garment, right? And she is immediately healed after 12 years of having this. At age 12, Jesus first appears in public, engages with teachers in Jerusalem. This all happened around this number 12, basically. And if we go back to the woman with the issue of blood, this occurred while he was on his way to heal a 12-year-old girl. Okay, so this is very important information that I think it just kind of brings things together for what I'm about to say next. God showed me that you still have time. Now, I want to talk specifically to the woman, the successful servant leader, the modern pioneer woman who God gave you a promise at the beginning of this year or the middle of this year, or at some point in this year, he gave you a promise and you haven't seen it yet, right? You haven't seen it yet, or for some of us, it's probably already happened and you just thought it was supposed to happen or look a different way. And maybe you're not okay with the way that it happened. That's again a different topic. But for that person, that woman, that modern pioneer woman, you still have time. There's still time for you to be obedient and do what God said. And there's still time for him to do what he said. If he said something was going to happen before the end of this year, it's going to happen. If he said something's going to happen on January 1st, 2023, it's going to happen. If he said something was going to happen, it is going to happen. And so at this point, this is the second week of December of 2022. You still have 2 whole weeks. Even if you listen to this episode at the end of this week, because this episode is coming out on today, December 12th. Even if you get this at the end of this week, you still have the 18th through the 31st to do what he told you to do. Do not let December pass you by and you are operating in disobedience. So let me be very clear. Even if you say, I'm still working on something, I want it to be perfect, I need it to look like this, or I need it to look like that, and you're using this as a way to keep yourself, and you might not even know it. This is why you have to go to God and be connected with him, right? But you're using this wanting to be perfect before you put something out there, or before you share something, or before you speak. That is operating in disobedience if God told you to do it already, right? If God told you to complete it already, if God told you to speak for 30 seconds on it and you still haven't done it yet, you're operating in disobedience. And when you operate in disobedience, this hinders you, right? Go back to what we just talked about concerning that number 11. It only was supposed to take them 11 days. But it ended up taking them 40 years to even step foot into the promised land. So I need you to ask yourself this question right now. Are you going to allow your fear, your need for perfectionism, your imposter syndrome, your whatever it may be, your trauma, right? Whatever it may be for you, are you going to allow that to turn your 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 day journey, 11-minute journey, 11-month journey, whatever it may be for you, into 40 plus years? Or you end up just passing away, and then God gives the assignment to someone else, or God gives the promise to someone else because they're more willing to do what he asked them to do. That's my question to you today, as we come up, or as we are in the middle of this month of December, this 12th month, this year that is about to be completed. This word, or this number, also symbolizes for me like a completion, right? And then we're about to transition into new. But like I said in last week's episode, you can't start the transition into new, starting new at the start of the new. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. You cannot go into the transition of something new just now saying, you know what, I'm going to start doing that new thing right now. I'm going to start my diet right now because I want to lose 50 pounds. Well, you're not going to be able to lose that 50 pounds in the amount of time that you think you're going to lose it, because you haven't even gotten yourself into a rhythm. They always talk about this every single year, that people do these New Year's resolutions, and by the end of January, the end of February, February, they're usually forgot about it, or say, you know what, let's try again next year, or let's try again in a few months, or let's do this, or let's do that, because they didn't, number one, spiritually prepare. A lot of times, a lot of these things people don't even include God in at all, but they didn't spiritually prepare, and they didn't prepare in advance. And when I say prepare in advance, I don't mean that you have to always be prepared in advance, but you do have to have some type of stamina for a thing, right? Stamina creates momentum. Momentum creates consistency. That's what I've seen. Stamina creates momentum. And once you get that momentum going, now you're consistent. Now that you're consistent, you are now focused on that thing, whatever it may be. And I always use that example of like dieting and exercising because I don't know. I, for one, will be exercising. Okay. Your girl is not, I'm not even going to say that. I never used to be an exerciser, no, but I am more of an exerciser now. I do those things, and God has told me to make sure that I'm consistent with that. It doesn't matter how small you are, how big you are, you think you're skinny, it don't matter what it is, you still need to exercise. To my skinny people out there who maybe thought like me and you can eat anything that you want and it doesn't change anything for you, yeah, you still need to work out, okay? Okay, we got that out the way. And so I really want to hit home this concept of completion and how God wants you to finish. And I think a better word here is actually finish instead of completion. He wants you to finish, even if you haven't started yet. At this point, even if you have not started yet, you need to finish. You need to start and you need to finish. If you haven't started, it's probably because of your own disobedience. Take it, chuck it up, and start whatever it is and finish it before the end of this year. Okay? We got 2 more episodes that'll be coming out. And so you can't say I didn't say nothing before the end of the year or, oh, Victoria, I wish you would have said something sooner. If it's something about a business, DM me. I'll help you figure it out. How do you can get started for free, period. I will help you. Very simple. If it's something for a podcast, DM me. I'll help you get started. You might not be able to get started for free, but you can get started for free. Okay. If it's something for social media, I'll help you get started for free. Like, there are free resources out here and there's really no excuses. There is no excuses to not be obedient to whatever it is that God is telling you to do, especially in this time and season. And I really, 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 I want to just beseech you by the power of God. I don't even know where that word came from just now, but I really have to say, like, do not go into 2023 with this mindset of I have time. With this mindset of I can do what I want. With this mindset of I can do what I want and still be modern pioneer woman, successful servant leader, and real MVP. You're going to make your life more difficult than it has to be. And that's really what I have for you guys today and what I wanted to wait until this week to talk about, because I wanted to make sure that it had its own focus, right? Its own focus, and that you could really concentrate on and understand the number 11 and the number 12, and that we are almost done with this 12th month. And so with that being said, I did want to share with you guys what we are currently doing inside of the inner circle and what I will be doing going forward. I've already started, but what I'll be doing for the rest of this month. So if you'd like to join us, you can always do this with us. You don't have to be in the inner circle, but of course, if you want to join the inner circle, you can at the link in the show notes. Enrollment will be open until the end of this year. And then after that, I'm not sure when it will open again. So again, you can join the inner circle at the link in the show notes. Enrollment will be open until the end of this year. So with that being said, what we do every single week, you guys already know about the power prayer call. You know, you have access to that for free. You just don't have access to the recording if you're not in the inner circle. But along with our power prayer call every single Wednesday, we also have been fasting. So this is kind of like my announcement to everybody else. And if you've been joining the prayer call, then you already know, because I always make the announcements too on the prayer call. But we also fast every single Wednesday. So the prayer call is every single Wednesday at 6:30 a.m. Central Standard Time, 7:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. But we also fast from 6 a.m. to 3 p.m., whatever your time zone is. So that's fasting from 6 a.m. to 3 p.m. every single Wednesday, whatever your time zone is. And so with that being said, because we fast and because we pray, I also will be doing this thing for myself. And if you'd like to join, you can. I'll also be consecrating. So if you didn't know, fasting is not the same as consecrating. Fasting is very plainly put when you abstain from eating, when you do not eat food. So you can have water, but that's it. Only water. That is a fast. A consecration is more of what we like to refer to as the Daniel fast. And that is when maybe you're not eating sugar specifically, or you're not watching TV, or you decide to stay away from social media, or you decide not to gossip, which you shouldn't gossip anyway, right? But that's consecration, when you stay away from anything other than food. A fast is literally from food. Okay. So I will be consecrating myself for all of December. Like I said, I've already started, where I will be limiting social media and TV time. And so I'll still be posting because I have to post. But other than that, I will not be just scrolling on social media, and I will not be watching any television for the month of December. Unless it is something, when you're married, you gotta do the things when you're married. Now, if my husband decides he's gonna do it with me, then that's cool. But if not, I would just be very much limiting my time on social media and television. That is going to be my consecration for this month. So if you like, you can also join me for the rest of this month as well in consecrating from something. And you can figure out what is your biggest distraction, and you can do that. You don't have to consecrate from the same thing that I consecrate from. And yeah, that's what I have for you guys this week. I am very excited for what God is going to do in your life, because you are now fasting, because you're now consecrating, and because you've given God your yes. And you said, you know what? I got until the end of this year. I have until December 31st. I'm going to get it done. I'm so excited to hear about it or see what he decides to do in your life, in your business, in your ministry, in your career, whatever the case may be for you. I'm very excited to see it. And that's what I have for you guys today. And I will see you guys in next week's episode of the Successful Servant Leader Podcast.